Hey y'all, welcome to Nadine Car Chronicles. It is story time. I know I didn't get to put out a car chronicle last week, and that's because I was battling with bronchitis. And so I was coughing nonstop. I mean it was crazy. It put such a strain on my vocal cords. I was raspy, my voice was shot. So I couldn't come on here and record anything. But here we are. Now listen, this week's story time, let me just warn y'all, it's a little triggering because there's a kidnapping involved. So if you're okay with that, then keep watching. But if you're like, nah, you're not into that, then you're gonna have to skip this particular story time because this one involves a kidnapping. So without further ado, y'all know, most of y'all know that I'm from New York, and I'm from Brooklyn, New York, to be specific, the best borough in Brooklyn. So anyway, I went to school. I went to elementary and junior high school in Brooklyn, but my high school, you can choose your high school and be accepted or not. And so I was accepted to a high school in Manhattan. So I went to school every morning from Brooklyn, getting on New York transit system, our train station, from Brooklyn to Manhattan every day to go to school. One particular day, now our high school starts at 10th grade. So this was when I was in the 10th grade. This is my first year in high school. I had a final that was due, and I had to go take that final. I think the class was at, say, 10:30 or something. So it was about maybe 9:30 or so in the morning that I am on my way to school. Now, it was freezing cold. It's the winter time. New York's winters can be extremely brutal. And on top of that, in order for me to get to school from my house, I had to walk these long blocks to get to the train station because that's the only way I could get to school. I had to take the train. So I had to walk these long blocks. It was freezing cold and you got to walk these long blocks. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait for the bus and let the bus take me to the train station, and then I'll jump on the train from the bus. So I'm waiting at the bus stop, and this bus is not coming. It's taking forever to come. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late for my class. This burgundy Lincoln Town Car pulls up to the bus station, and it was a white guy in a burgundy Lincoln Town Car. You know, he was a little muscular build. He was a redhead, and he was grayed out in his beard. I would say he's about 60 years old or so. And so he says, I can take you to the, he pulls up and he says, are you waiting for the bus? And I said, yeah. He's like, if you want. He said, I know it's pretty cold out here. Now, mind you, I'm like 14 years old. Okay, this is 10th grade. I'm about 14 years old at the time. So he says, I'm going in that direction towards the train station. I could drop you off because it's pretty cold out here. So I'm looking at the time. I'm like, I don't want to miss this, my final. Let me just jump in the car and let him drop me off. It's 3-4 blocks. Let him drop me off. I get in the guy's car, and I would say about 30 seconds in, or maybe 45 seconds or so, under a minute of me being in this guy's car, he locks the doors of his car. So when I look at, it's an older model car. It's a Lincoln Town Car, older model. When I look at the car door, there's no lever to pull up for me to open the door, for me to lever to unlock the door, for me to open the door to get out. It doesn't exist. He removed that unlocking mechanism. And so I'm sitting there now. I'm in shock, guys. I'm frozen. I'm scared to death. I don't know what. You see the news, it was so many things that was going through my head. And all of a sudden, this guy breaks all these thoughts that's going through my head. He breaks those thoughts up with a question. Did your mother teach you not to get in the cars with strangers? And I said, yes, but you told me you were going towards the train station. And he got mad. He was like, did your mother teach you not to get in the car with strangers? And I said, yes. He said, well, I'm going to teach you a lesson that you should listen to your mother. And by this point, guys, I don't know what to do. I'm scared. I don't know what this guy plans on doing. All I could remember, I could remember his hand, his right hand. He had a gold ring on his pinky. He had a gold watch and he had a burgundy sweater on, right? So this whole thing was burgundy. I can tell you that, okay? And I'm scared half to death. And mind you, I wasn't raised in the church. I wasn't raised knowing about God, the Lord Jesus. I don't know anything like that. While I'm sitting there scared to death thinking, what are you going to do? I heard a voice in my head say, tell him you have friends. And so I said it. I have friends. And this guy, he said, what did you say? I said, I have friends. And he said, do they look like you? And I said, yeah. They look even better than me. I don't know why I said, but they look even better than me. He said, what are you going to do about your friends? I said, I could go get them. And he said, you're going to go get them? I said, yeah. He said, you're going to go get them and you're going to bring them to my apartment. And he pointed, now we're at the train station area, and he pointed to these buildings by the train station. He said, I live in that building, and he told me the number of the building. I don't remember. And he told me the apartment. These were all co-ops, the apartments, like condos. And he told me the apartment number, and I don't remember it now. And he said, you make sure you go and get your friends. I'm going to let you out of this car. You go get your friends and you bring them to that building at that apartment. And I'm going to be waiting for you. How long are you going to be? I said, about an hour. He said, I'm going to be waiting for you and your friends to get there. He said, are they young like you? And I said, yes, they're my age. The guy unlocks the door. I went in that train station, guys. I sat on that cold concrete floor. I put my knees to my chest and I cried my eyes. I cried I was in shock. I don't even know. I was shocked. I was fearful. I was in disarray. I don't even know. I stayed in that train station on that floor crying for a good hour with my head down in between, in my arms, just crying. I got, about an hour later, I ran home. I didn't stop. I ran all the way home. I look over my shoulders now, and I know that was the hand of God. The Bible talks about the right hand of God. I know the right hand of God represents God's strength on your behalf. It says that the hand of God is not too short that it can't, is not short that it can't stretch into your situation. That was God's hand stretching into my situation. And no, I didn't give God credit. I didn't know who to give credit to. Now I can. But it's not like if God was scared, that God was intimidated that I didn't give him credit. He knew one day I would look over my shoulder and give him the credit and give him the glory and thank him. And here I am on this platform telling y'all that God pursued me when I was not pursuing him. That God's intentions was towards me when my intentions was never toward him. That his heart, let me say that his heart was towards me when my heart was not toward him. You know, I didn't even know to think about God. I didn't even know that I could cry out to God. But he gave me the word. He gave me the knowledge in that moment to get me out of. God gave me a word that delivered me. You hear me? He gave me a word of knowledge in that moment that delivered, a word of wisdom that it's really a word of wisdom that delivered me out of that situation. I pray that whatever you are facing today, whatever circumstance that you are in today, that you will get a word of wisdom from the Lord to know exactly what to do concerning whatever it is that you are facing, that God will give you a word of wisdom. That you will know exactly. The wisdom is knowing what to do and when to do it, how to do it. What to do, when to do, how to do it. It is a supernatural wisdom. It's a wisdom that comes from above. It is not earthly, and only God can give it to you. I pray that if you're in need right now of a word of direction, that a word of revelation, that you need insight, you need to know what to do, when to do, how to do it. I'm praying that God will give you, the way he gave me at 14 years old, a word of wisdom for your situation. Part 2 of to this story is going to be how I saw that same man again in the same car in a different state, a totally different state. Different from New York. I can't wait to share that with you. This was Nadine's Car Chronicles, a word of encouragement that God's right hand is not short, that it cannot stretch in your current situation, whatever the situation is that you are facing today. God bless y'all. Bye-bye.